focus on criminal hackers first, then worry about strategic hackers. The first thing you want to do when learning of a hacking intrusion is summon the crisis committee. Hi, this is Carsten from Hacking Matters, where each week we look at the challenges of cybersecurity. Today we're looking at the third and final step of a hacking journey, post-intrusion. After initial access and lateral movement, now the hacker is converting access into outcomes, stealing data, encrypting data. We focus on economic hackers here because they are most common and also because they are easier to defend from compared to, let's say, state-sponsored hacking. So focus on criminal hackers first, then worry about strategic hackers. Criminal hackers will break into your organization either to encrypt data and ask you for ransom, or to steal data, and typically also ask you for ransom or sell the data on to somebody else. Either way, the hacker now has access to your data and can really do with the data whatever they want. At this point, you can no longer stop the intrusion from happening through technical means. Rather, your focus shifts to reducing the damage caused by the intrusion. So we're talking about crisis response and crisis communication. The first thing you want to do when learning of hacking intrusion is summon the crisis committee. The crisis committee is typically broken into three parts in three separate rooms. They're physically separated, so each room can focus on their task. The first room is making decisions about things like whether we stop production or whether we're willing to pay a ransom. The second room takes care of all outside communications, thereby shielding the decision-making room from the chaos involved in that. Outside communication involves communication to the media, to other shareholders, to customers, and of course with the criminals when it comes to ransom negotiations. The third room focuses on technical response. They do investigation and take technical countermeasures to limit the hacking intrusion. Each of those rooms will be 100% occupied with their task, and they should communicate only when absolutely necessary with one another so they can focus on their given tasks. Starting with the decision makers. Their main concern now is to get production up and running again if it has been impacted, and to limit any kind of impact on the brand. So they want to make sure to communicate that damage has been limited and that good lessons have been learned from the intrusion, so that intrusion will never happen again. Many companies are afraid of the possible scar to their reputation of a hacking intrusion. Often the opposite is true. A hacking incident can in fact summon sympathy from, for instance, customers, in that, of course, you were randomly chosen as a target, you learned from it, and you are less likely now to be hacked again. So you don't worry about the long-term consequences of the hack so much as the short-term consequences, such as regulatory fines or a downtime to your production systems. And the first room, the decision-making room, needs to set the strategy. What do we generally communicate to our stakeholders to calm them down and assure them that we are learning every minute from this incident and then this will not happen again? The second room, the outside communication, will have to manage a flurry of activity. Many media outlets, many customers, a whole bunch of other stakeholders will have inquiries, and you're getting better through the crisis as you're answering all of these inquiries calmly, reasonably, without ever stepping beyond the truth. The second room also talks with the hackers. And as ransomware is the most common form of hacking these days, there's a good chance that you will enter negotiations. Negotiations are important and you have to take them seriously. So to not signal to the hackers that you're a weak target and they should come back or ask for more. If you just give them what they want, they'll ask for more every single time. You have to negotiate. And typically you negotiate for about 3 days to bring the ransom demand down by at least 50%. At this point, the hackers understand that you gave them everything you're willing to give them and that it's not reasonable for them to ask for more and keep the data locked away for longer. Your technical team, meanwhile, focuses on understanding where the intrusion came from to make sure that other groups are not using the same entrance vector. They're also, of course, focusing on recovering your systems, often from backups. Do keep in mind, though, that the same way that you can destroy or encrypt data, you can also destroy or encrypt backups. So a backup system is not necessarily ransom-proof. All three rooms will have their hands full for at least several days. So it's important to to manage the expectation that this will be a multi-day exercise and that you cannot expect quick results, but rather you want thorough results in recovering your business, in communicating calmly and consistency, and negotiating with the hackers to the point that they're not coming back because they get the feeling that they took everything you'll ever give them. The first time you go through hacking incident response, you will be making mistakes. Everybody does. So please rehearse now. Make those mistakes in a simulated crisis rather than a real crisis. Be prepared. In simulating hacking incidents, you don't actually have to simulate the technical side. You want to simulate the communication. You want to put 10 people in a room for maybe 4 hours and make them draft a media strategy, set a negotiation position, manage stakeholders. No technical work actually required. On the technical side, the least mistakes are made because you can rely on experienced experts. But we don't really have experienced experts in terms of crisis communication around hacking incidents and in terms of negotiation with hackers. An important partner when going through hacking incident response is cyber insurance. Not because they pay for most of the damages, they rarely ever do, but because they have experienced experts that go through hacking incidents almost every day and they can be on your side as you negotiate, as you draft your media strategy. So do have a cyber insurance by your side and include them in your rehearsals so you know what strengths you can rely on as the actual hacking incidents unfold. When talking about the hacking defense funnel in an earlier video, we established how prevention, detection, and response, our topic for today, are equally important. Now, prevention and detection take a lot of processes and a lot of technical tools. Response really doesn't. With a couple of rehearsals per year, you can boost your capabilities well above average and be well prepared to limit the damage of a hacking incident. And that ultimately is what matters. Do check out that earlier video on the hacking defense funnel, as well as other in-depth discussions on how to make your backups more ransomware resilient and how to partner with a cyber insurance. I hope this discussion was useful. Let us know what other topics you find interesting and want us to dive into. Until then, thank you very much and happy hacking.